What's good, everybody? I hope you're having a good day. I certainly am, because it is once again draft time here in Pittsburgh Pirates franchise. The board is set. We know what we've got going on here in this draft. For our picks, if I just go here to add to our board, 26, 31, 59, 68 in the top 100, and then 104 is just outside the top 100. If we can get 3 to 4 rock solid picks in this draft, I'm going to be happy with that. So, how do I have my draft board set up? Well, I think the dream scenario, unlikely, but I would love it if it could happen. Nick Herrera, if his injury could have him drop to 26, I'm certainly going to take the risk at that point in the draft on a guy who, prior to his injury, I thought was generational, could still be generational if the injury does not impact his ratings. Nick Herrera, number 1 on my board by a long shot. More of a realistic target, though, would be a guy like Graham Fernandez, first base, corner outfielder, decent hitter. Not going to be much of a defender, but a switch hitter at that as well with good size. I think he's the best player that actually has a good chance to make it at 26 in this class. If he gets selected, which is certainly not impossible, we have him as a top 10 player in this class. If anybody else has him there ahead of 26, he's going to get taken. At that point, we'd probably go with Morris Rowe, just the highest rated player on our board. I think this would probably be worst case scenario. And he's 6th on our board. Saying 6 is worst case scenario at 26 is kind of funny. But these are kind of the only guys that I would take over the top tier closers in this class. Those guys being Doug Ramirez, who we have ranked all the way up at 11, and Sammy Guthrie. So it's not ideal to take closers in round 1. I have plans ahead of them that I think will certainly be options. But if they're not, I'm not afraid to go Doug Ramirez at 26. He's ranked 11th as a closer, which is saying something for sure. Next up at 31, we're definitely going to take one of these guys, I think. If they're both there, probably Ramirez, because Sammy Guthrie, we're hoping can last a little bit longer, considering he's somebody that we discovered. A couple of pitchers next. Jesus Manuel is just the guy that our scouts are really high on. I think 59 or 68 would be a great spot for him. Same with John Mullen here, who our scouts are higher on than consensus. Marco Tejeda is kind of the last pitcher on our board here. 22 years old, lefty. Going to have rock solid potential. Going to have a decent starting overall as well. We have the catchers that we scouted in this class. Justin Waller, definitely more of a long-term player, but that's fine. George Golden, even a longer-term project. But maybe we could even get him at like pick 104 if we're lucky. Then we have the discovery players here, and this isn't actually in order. I'd definitely take Luis Jimenez at least ahead of Raleigh. But Hugh Black's our highest rated guy here. Well-rounded skill set. Lonnie Root has the highest power upside of the guys we discovered. Best defender is Henry Laird. Luis Jimenez has good contact and speed, and Hahn is a defense-only prospect that I wouldn't take prior to like our round 5 pick. So this is our board. I am ready for the draft. Let's get into it. And with that, we are ready to get the draft underway here. And I think from this point on in the series, I'll just be giving my live reactions. I did it last year as well, but we're to the point in the series, we're in year 5 now, and we're one of the best teams in baseball, that there's a good chance that most, if not all, of the draft picks won't make that much of an impact, except for maybe some high-end bullpen arms, which we're hoping to get in this class. Of course, if Nick Herrera were to fall, that would change. But it saves me a lot of time in editing to do it this way for a draft class that will still certainly be fun. Don't get me wrong. Drafting is my favorite part of franchise mode, even if we're at this point of a series, you know. Whoa, okay. Nick Herrera goes at 4. That's unfortunate. I honestly didn't really think he was going to make it all the way down to 26, but I didn't also think he was going to get drafted all the way up at 4, like above where he was projected to go. That surprises me a lot, but with that kind of suspense gone, I think we're ready to just simulate to our pick. We're hoping Graham Fernandez falls, and if not, we're hoping Rowe falls, but we're really hoping for Fernandez. All right, we are here at 26, and indeed, both Rowe and Fernandez make it to us. So we get pretty lucky there. I wouldn't say lucky. I mean, we're talking about the guy that was ranked 35th and 60th. I wouldn't have been surprised if one of them had gotten drafted, but both of them probably would have been pretty surprising. And with this pick, I think it's pretty clear that Graham Fernandez is best available, even though Rowe's technically ranked higher by our scouts. Fernandez is just a guy, switch hitter. Don't have a ton of those. Good offensive player. And we need hitters more than we need starters at this point, even though I think we're kind of set in both. Graham Fernandez is pick 26 for the Pittsburgh Pirates, here to kick off this Year 5 draft. We won't have to wait long to make our next pick here. Now, we could go with Morris Rowe here, but I definitely think this is time for a reliever. A guy like Doug Ramirez is not going to last much longer. I don't think he's going to last to 59 by any means. Don't think Rowe will either. I think these are the two guys to choose from here. Kind of had it in my head that we were going reliever, but I wouldn't mind a starter here. You know what? We're going reliever. It's another lefty in the bullpen. We have a ton, but I mean, we could go Guthrie, but I just think there's a chance Guthrie's available at 59, where I don't think there's a chance Ramirez is. This is always the gambit I take. Even though I probably want Guthrie a little bit more than Ramirez, there's a better chance I can get both of them if I go Ramirez first. That is generally my strategy. I like to risk it and try to get both, has always been my strategy, and I'm gonna stick with it here. It doesn't always work out for me, but often does. And we take Doug Ramirez, who's a really, really solid looking lefty relief pitcher with 88 to 98 potential. He has a very good chance at a potential, which would be awesome. No, Sammy Guthrie went. He went to Toronto. That's the risk. I probably would have taken Sammy. Hey, it is what it is. I mean, we got a great player in Ramirez. We just got a lefty, and I don't think we needed a lefty. So here at 59, we could go with Jesus Manuel. We could go with John Mullen, continue, and actually get a righty for our bullpen this time. To hit, I think we can wait on. This is also, I mean, if we wanted Justin Waller, this would be the time to take him. I kind of think George Golden's better just because his defense is already better, even though he's going to be a lower overall. I think we might take catcher at 68, but for 59, let's talk through Jesus Manuel or John Mullen. I'm just going to go bullpen. We have so many good starters. We also have a lot of good bullpen too, but it's so hard to project if bullpen players are actually going to play up to their overall or potential. So just having more and more swings. I was planning on taking bullpen anyway with this pick. I just thought it'd be Guthrie. Mullen's not going to be as good as Guthrie, but I mean, 85 to 95 potential is looking really good with 61 to 71 overall. I think that's going to end up being an awesome pick. So Justin Waller does go off the board. So if we want a catcher for sure, we might have to go Golden at 68. I think there's a good chance he could be available at... What's our pick? It's like 104 because he's ranked 133, but our scouts have an 83. So if anybody else scouted him, he could go off the board. So I'm thinking catcher or Manuel here. And then we can, like, none of our has really... Yeah, none of our discovery guys have gotten taken yet. That's kind of insane. I mean, none of them are all that great, but still, you think by the 60s, some would have gone. Catcher or Manuel? I mean, we're talking about taking the guy ranked 83rd on our board versus 10th. I got to go Manuel here. If Golden's there at 104, we take him. But, I mean, I can't not. We haven't taken a starter yet. He's the only other starter on our board. Now, I know there's like starters that I've scouted that we could take later, but he's the only like high upside starter we'll get in this class. So, hoping Golden makes it to 104. And he does. Oh, also, we got some of our Discovery guys off the board, though. We're going to take Golden. I was really hoping to not have Lonnie Root go off the board, but we've waited. We actually, has this been a rare draft where I haven't taken any Discovery players yet, and we're past pick 100 now. So as much as I talk up Discovery, it is insane, but I actually haven't even really used it all that much in this class. Round 4, I think we definitely go Hugh Black here. Would have loved for this to be Lonnie Root instead, but we're going to go Hugh Black. Get a position player on the board. We'll go Marco Tejeda here. One more bullpen. He's guaranteed solid B potential. And then we'll finish it up with Raleigh Hahn, who I don't think is going to be all that good, but there you have it. So we were able to go Discovery for our last 3 picks here. Was really hoping for that other shortstop or Lonnie Root, one of them, but we kept on avoiding not avoiding necessarily, but just not taking our Discovery players because we had other players on the board. So I think I did a pretty good job of scouting around my picks. We had options every single pick in this class from our board. And with that, the Dodgers are going to wrap us up at 198, and we're going to finish what I think will ultimately be quite a solid draft class. Didn't get everybody I wanted. Well, I think we got a really solid crop of players. Taking a look at some of our motivation to sign here. Graham Fernandez starts at 43. Not great, but workable. We'll see if we can get Ramirez right off the bat. So we do. Same with Mullen. No. I'm only going to have to ask again later. George Golden only needs 1%, so we'll get that. We've got a pretty high percentage here with Marco Tejeda. So we can also offer Raleigh Hahn. I don't know if he's really that worth it, but he's an inexpensive body at this point. So we'll get these two up to 50% next week doing it this way. So we will do that for week 1 of our signing period here. All right, more people up to 50%. And George Golden comes onto the squad here, as is Hugh Black. We'll try again on Mullins. He says yes. And with this, Fernandez will take 1 more week, but then Manuel will get up to 50% in the next week. And there you have that. Should be pretty easy to sign this draft class. 50% for Manuel, like we were talking about. We need 1 more percent on Graham Fernandez. So our first pick is the last to sign, but we'll get him signed up pretty easily here. We still got 4.27 remaining. His bonus demand is 3. Shouldn't have a problem here. The Marlins make a trade here. Sebastian Walcott is headed to Miami for John Bruno, an A potential closer who looks really decent. So there's a swap there between Kansas City and Miami. Can we finish off this signing here? Yes, we can. The class is signed with a few periods left to go. No other major trades made at the deadline, and the Pirates will be 67-42 here at the end of July. We've got a decently commanding lead on the division, although the Brewers are remaining fairly competitive up to this point. Let's go ahead and take a look at our draft class, and Graham Fernandez comes in at a 62 overall with 88 potential. That is pretty solid. Probably the worst first round pick we've made. I'm trying to think, but also by far the worst draft capital we've had at 26. But good player. The clutch is awesome. You love to see that. The contact. I mean, a guy with no power, no speed, no fielding, he's limited for sure. But happy to have him. Doug Ramirez ends up 75 overall with 95 potential. So that's really nice to see. He doesn't really have any weaknesses. His pitching clutch is fine. It's certainly not as good as his 88 hits per 9. So that kind of neutralizes that strength a little bit, but not to the point that we've seen with some of our other prospects by any means. John Mullen, his pitching clutch is 51. So again, not bad. Still below his hits per 9. But he's going to be really good at limiting home runs. Be a skill set. That's not really a skill set we have a ton of. 61 overall with 96 potential here for Jesus Manuel. 21 pitching clutch. Dang. What can you do? I mean, what can you do? George Golden only ends up a 48 overall, but 88 potential. I liked his long-term upside as like a defensive catcher. Obviously, who knows what he'll actually reach in terms of potential when you're starting this low. But we hadn't had a catcher drafted since Jan. And so thought it was about time we try and go for another one. Long-term projection here, but a solid one. Hugh Black, 60 overall with 83 potential. I think he'll end up being pretty well-rounded player, honestly, from what I'm seeing here. I think that's a really good pick for a pick in the 130s. Marco Tejeda, 67 overall, 86. Another lefty. I think we're going to have to trade some lefties for some righties in our bullpen for sure, probably in the offseason. And then Raleigh Hahn sucks, but he'll be able to play all right defense for our AA squad someday, maybe. Really good draft class. I mean, we got blue and green all the way down to the 6th round, and all of them blue except for one, and Hugh Black's pretty good. So I think we had a really positive draft class here. Let's go ahead and take a look at our division. Sebastian Peralta is a pretty decent pick. 61 overall is a little low to start out, but 85 potential is solid. Elsewhere in our division, Alberto Rivera starts off at a 78. Only has 80 potential, though, but he should be playing on the squad next year, probably. Great reaction. Good all-around offensive player. Kind of sucked other than that. Monty Geringer. Honestly, really good selection here for Cincinnati. They've had some decent draft picks here. And then Todd Roosh, another guy, doesn't have much to improve, but I mean, he's a hitter already. That looks like a DH for the squad next year. Andres Lopez. So honestly, I think this division did pretty good in the first round this year. Just kind of across the board. I think Andres Lopez is definitely a good pick. Of course, we'll be looking to see what Nick Herrera's ratings are. Michael Almanza looks pretty good as a first base. So there's just a pretty good first base class here. Prince Lopez for the Padres, 99 velocity, only a 96 mile an hour though. I bet it's because he has a 0 velocity on his changeup. They always do that in this game. Pretty solid selection for sure. And they also, so they took Morris Rowe. So had we had to take him, it would have been a 57 overall with 89 potential. I mean, that's a worse player than the guy that they had us ranked 10th. Especially considering his pitching clutch also sucks. Peter Dell's short. You can tell just on his player card, but 76 clutch. Pretty solid selection there. Oh man, what if the generational guy goes unsigned? That'd be pretty insane, right? Good pick here in the first. Really good pick there as well. Nick Herrera ends up a 74 overall with 92 potential. Now his gap changed because he had a 20-point gap. This is only 18 points difference. Do injuries always change your gap? I thought your gap held, but great starting overall here for Guzman. But you just went down. That's kind of weird. Taking a look at his profile, so if he was generational, he'd be a 79 overall with 99 potential. If you look at all these ratings and just +5, this is exactly what a generational prospect looks like. So I still think Nick Herrera was generational. I can't prove it, obviously, because he was injured. I'm still very confident that he was a generational prospect. And I'm still very confident he's so far the best player in this class. Sammy Guthrie, 75 overall, 90 potential. Doesn't have the same level of potential. His potential's 5 lower than our guy, but I probably would still take him just because he's a righty. We might trade for Sammy Guthrie. Although, no, he's an A potential, so you'd count an outside asset slot. So probably not. Some decent potentials, but low overalls. Same here. Mario Enriquez, really good pitcher. Great stamina. I think the Athletics got a good one there. Decent pick in Nelson Koo. We're getting towards the end here. Great closer class. And we're back to our division. So that's pretty much going to wrap up what we've got here for the draft. I think we had yet another successful draft on the books. And I think Doug Ramirez can play for us next year. I think John Mullen, based on this, if we were a worse team, John Mullen could probably play for us next year too, because the standard for calling up a bullpen arm is lower. But Doug Ramirez might be the only guy from this draft class that plays for us in this franchise. But still, it's fun to draft really solid draft class. Hope you enjoyed the episode. We'll be back soon to watch more Billy Fink and others on our Pirate Squad play. And I'll see you then. Let's go Bucks.